What's going on, guys? Kevin here with another episode of Bay State After Hours. And I got something very exciting I want to talk to you guys about. It is definitely going to be changing the way that people feed raw. And I am so excited. We have a representative from Instinct here to tell us more about it. Thank you guys for joining us on a Friday night. I know I normally do them on Wednesdays, but decided to mix it up a little bit. Decided to bring it on a Friday. So thank you, everyone, for joining us. And I have something very exciting to talk to you about. We've been teased about taking in this product for the last couple months. They've been telling us about it and telling us about it and telling us about it. And it is finally here. The Instinct Longevity is at Bay State.
When it comes to pet nutrition, the science has evolved over the years. But for some reason, raw food hasn't. So people still think that Paleolithic diets are the best option for their pets. Or that a puppy should eat the same food as a senior dog. At Instinct, we know better. Introducing Instinct Raw Longevity, a breakthrough innovation in raw pet food, the result of 10 years of research of over 16,000 dogs. Our team of researchers and nutritionists tapped into this data to explore how raw diets may positively impact mobility, cancer, and more. This brand new product line customizes pet nutrition to support health at every life stage, from puppy or kitten to adult to healthy aging. Instinct Raw Longevity layers in guaranteed levels of the right nutrients and antioxidants to try to help pets live their longest, happiest lives. All in raw varieties customers know and love. From frozen to freeze-dried raw to our breakthrough 20% freeze-dried meal blend. We are revolutionizing the standard Paleolithic diet, and we're leading the way once again. Because every pet deserves a chance at a longer life. Instinct Raw Longevity. Coming exclusively to neighborhood pet stores this July.
I know it says this July, but it just came in at Bay State this week. We are so excited, finally a way that you can feed raw where you can actually do the different life stages of the pet. It is so exciting. And with us today, I have Maddie from Instinct, who's going to tell us more about it. How you doing, Maddie?
Hey, good. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. I'm definitely very excited, and it's been a long time coming.
It really has been. You guys have kept teasing us as a business about it for a while. We weren't allowed to say anything out in public, it had to have been, it felt like a year, but, we weren't allowed to say anything about it. And finally, I can talk about it.
Yeah. I mean,
so let's start out.
Big relief for me, too.
So let's start out with, just in case people who haven't joined before and seen you on our live streams, why don't you tell us a little bit about Instinct to begin with?
Yeah, so I am the territory sales manager for Instinct in Northern New England. And Instinct is the raw brand. So we've been crafting raw recipes since 2002. And we've really always been innovators in the raw category. So we were the first company to bring out a commercially available raw diet. We were the first company to bring out grain-free Kibble. We also were the first company to bring out a Kibble with freeze-dried added. Again, innovating the category in 2012, and then bringing out bites in a frozen raw recipe, which makes it super easy to add raw for any of those Kibble customers out there. You don't have to go 100%. You can just scoop a little bit into the Kibble you're already feeding your dogs and cats. So making it really easy and just leading the charge. And I love our purpose. It's to empower people to transform the lives of pets. And as a company, we really believe that you do that through nutrition.
And you really can. And people have actually seen that feeding the Instinct brand, doing the switch from a standard Kibble to Instinct. So We've talked about it before in past episodes, but why don't you tell us a little bit what the raw diet is?
Yeah. So a raw diet, as opposed to like Kibble or dehydrated food, has not been exposed to any heat. So the ingredients in those raw diets are completely raw. They've never been cooked. They're minimally processed. We just grind them and never apply heat. And so it's a super safe, great way to get those raw nutrients into your pets. And because it's raw, our dogs and cats absorb those nutrients much better than they would have cooked food. So lots of benefits to feeding raw.
Yeah, so I tell people that all the time, that pets can actually digest raw protein a lot better than they can digest processed protein. They're getting a lot more out of it, a lot more nutrition. There's just so many benefits to feeding raw.
Yes.
So I personally love Instinct. But why don't you tell everyone what makes Instinct so great?
Yeah. So for me, a couple of things we do just have really drawn my passion into the company. We really have been on the forefront of science and research. We want to have our raw food backed by science. So we've had a couple partnerships over the last couple of years, really looking at raw food. And one of them was at the University of Helsinki, which is a university in Finland. And they basically were looking at raw food versus kibble in our dogs over their lifespan, and looking at the differences between dogs that are fed kibble versus dogs that are fed raw. And they found that dogs that are fed raw have a decreased incidence of environmental allergies, irritable bowel disease. They just published a study on hip dysplasia and arthritis. And they're also looking at a correlation between cancer and dental disease and a bunch of other things, and how they're greatly reduced when your pet is fed raw food, which is super exciting to see that information come out. So I love that we back everything by science.
Exactly. So actually, I was just going to say, so didn't you guys start out by feeding like the cats at the zoo or something like that, the big cats at the zoo?
Yeah, Bob Mulligan, our founder, that's how he started. The Lincoln Zoo, he was asked to craft raw recipes for their wild cats, and in formulating an accurate diet for them, they saw what a difference these fully formulated raw food diets had for the wild cats in the zoo. And that's kind of what got him started and got him excited about the difference that raw can have. So definitely started with science and continues to be backed by science.
So we're just going to roll right into it. I want to talk about this new food. I am so excited to talk about it. But before we do, if you like this video on any platform, whether you're watching it on YouTube or Facebook, you have a chance to enter to win a free gift bag, which Maddie is going to explain a little bit later on. Oh, well, she has the bag there, but we're going to explain what's in it. Yeah, a little sneak peek. We'll explain what's in it a little bit later on in the video. All right, so let's get right into it. What is longevity?
Yeah, so longevity has been a couple of years in the making. It is a raw-based diet for dogs and cats. It includes a frozen raw formula line, a freeze-dried raw formula line, and a completely new, innovative Kibble plus 20% freeze-dried raw. It is all backed by science. So it came about after a couple of different studies. The studies at a University of Helsinki that I shared, and then also a breakthrough study out of the University of San Diego. They were looking at dogs over their lifespan and looking for aging markers to compare them to us as humans, to get a better understanding of how our dogs age, as opposed to the old adage of every year for a dog is actually 7 years. And so they found out that a 1-year-old dog is about a 30-year-old human in aging markers. And then when a dog hits about 7, they are about a 50-year-old human. So dogs do 45% of their growth in that first year of life. And then they spend over 50% of their lives in the senior years. So with longevity, we're really wanting to provide proper nutrition to these life stages. I mean, I certainly didn't know that my 18-month-old lab was technically older than what I was. So we want to make sure we're supporting those life stages and making sure they're getting all the exact nutrients they need. So longevity is going to have those life stage specific formulas.
I'm sure his maturity level, though, isn't older than you are, though. I'm sure he still feels like he's a 1-month-old pup running around.
Yes, he acts like a hooligan. He is a wild man. Yes.
So let's talk about all the different platforms in longevity, because I don't think there's any other company that is doing this right now. There might be like maybe a puppy version of some frozen, but other than that, there's nothing even for senior dogs. So let's talk about the different stages one by one. Let's start with the puppy.
Yeah, so the puppy is super exciting. The guaranteed analysis for the puppy formula is going to guarantee a minimum of 15 nutrients, which in comparison, a normal raw food and kibble, they generally guarantee about 5 nutrients. You're going to be guaranteed your protein, your fat, your fiber, the moisture content of the food, and potentially ash. A couple of the products will guarantee like glucosamine and chondroitin, but generally
so pretty much like the bare minimum stuff. Yep.
Yes, because it's actually very expensive to test your product and make sure that you're guaranteeing these levels, because you have to touch every batch of food you make and test the levels. So for puppy, we're guaranteeing 15 nutrients, and we're going to be having our omega-3s, our omega-6s, taurine, DHA, which is super important for puppies' brain health and development over that really rapid growth period. And then obviously adequate protein levels to help during those growth periods as well. So it's really focused nutrition for those puppies. And every formula, the calories per serving, the protein and fat levels, they're all going to vary just slightly, because we want to make sure that this recipe is adequate for that life stage.
Now, I'm not sure if you know this or not, but do you know if the puppy formula is adequate for large breed puppies as well? Because I know sometimes there's a little bit of, because it's tough for larger breed puppies. Yeah. They need added stuff in there. So,
yeah. So unfortunately, we do not have a recipe within this platform that would be adequate for a large breed puppy.
Not yet.
It should be coming. Hopefully,
we're not hinting towards anything, but Instinct is very innovative, so
potentially 2022. Because it is something that's very important, and there aren't any raw diets out there that are adequate for a large breed puppy. Specifically because the calcium and phosphorus ratios are not quite adequate for a large breed puppy. So, and we want to make sure that we have that for proper growth, since they're growing so rapidly.
Yeah.
In those first 18 months. So
that's good to know. We'll have to keep an eye out and see what Instinct comes out. So let's move right on. So let's move right on to the next stage. Let's move on to the adult. So when is the dog considered an adult? And what is the benefits of feeding the regular adult Instinct longevity?
Yeah. So the adult formula would be adequate depending on the size of your dog. So generally speaking, a small breed dog is going to be an adult around 9 months to 12 months old. A medium-sized dog, we're looking at 12 to 18 months. And then a large breed dog, so anything over 70 pounds, we're looking at anywhere from 18 months to 24 months to be an adult. So it just varies on the size of your dog. The larger your dog's going to be when it's adult is going to be the later it gets there. So, and we always recommend trying to stick by that 12 months for small, medium, and then 18 months for a large, medium dog to a large dog, switching over to the adult. And the difference with the adult is it's actually going to have a little bit higher of a meat base. So the adult recipe is going to be 88% meat and organs, 12% fruits and veggies, versus the puppy is 86% meat and organs, 14% fruits and veggies. So a little more fruits and veggies in the puppy one versus the adult. And the calorie content is going to be different because we're not looking at growth for an adult dog. We want to maintain their weight. Sometimes we have hefty dogs, so we want to lose some weight. But the ingredient panel is going to show you how to do all of that. And we added a bunch of really cool ingredients into all of our recipes. A couple of the key ones are going to be turmeric, which we know is anti-inflammatory. We're adding green lip mussels, which help with the hips and joints. It's a natural source of glucosamine. Then we're adding ground miscanthus grass, which is a super sustainable source of fiber. You got to have a little bit of fiber in your diet. So I'm glad we're doing a nice sustainable crop for that.
What was it? What was it called?
Ground miscanthus grass.
I've literally never even heard of that.
Yeah, I honestly didn't know a whole lot about it before we were told about the recipes, but it's actually a very sustainable crop. So it's a great way to get fiber into our pets' diets. So I know for one, my dogs tend to graze on grass.
Yep.
So it's just a natural source of fiber to help them digest and move things through their digestive tracts. So
that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I've never even heard that before. So I just want to make sure I heard it right.
Yeah, you're like, grass. What type of grass?
Well, because when you think of fiber, you usually hear about like pea fiber or, things like that. And, with everything going on right now about the peas, it's good to know that this is a different source of fiber, that you don't have to worry about everything that's going on.
Yeah, and I think as a company, we want to be really responsible about the ingredients that we're sourcing for our products. And so really looking to find not only a quality ingredient, but something that's sustainable. Because if you know anything about the farming industry, crops can be not super sustainable. So it's great that we are focused on putting in ingredients that are not only good for our dogs and cats, but sustainable as well for our environment.
Yeah, and a good example of that actually is, not to go off topic a little bit, but millet. Millet this year is really bad. So a lot of our cage bird and wild bird foods are going to not have any millet in it, which some birds desperately need, because the crops actually went bad. Not that they went bad, but they used all of their reserve and then not enough grew this year. So it can be scary, especially when you're talking about your pet's health. So
yeah, and a lot of people are very reliant on what they're feeding their dog because they're on that recipe for a certain reason. And so if us as manufacturers can't source a certain ingredient, that can cause a lot of problems for folks at home with their pets. So
yeah, exactly.
I'm glad we're focusing on things that are easy to grow, sustainable, and good for our dogs and cats.
That's beautiful. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. We got way off track there, but
yeah. So yeah, really cool ingredients. Like I said, along with the ground miscanthus grass, we're also doing the turmeric, the greenlet mussels, and then we're doing coconut oil. I know a lot of people have heard about MCT oil and adding it to their coffee. So it's something we're also doing for our dogs, and it helps with mental clarity, as well as having anti-inflammatory properties as well. And coconut oil is antimicrobial, so some really great properties of coconut oil that we're adding in the adult recipe also.
So not to take away from the puppy or the adult recipes, but the one that I'm most excited about is the senior recipe.
Yeah.
Because I have never seen a senior recipe. I've never heard of anyone talk about a senior recipe. So this is awesome. I'm so excited about this because, as everyone knows, pets are living longer and longer, and they need those extra nutrition, those nutrition factors. So I'll let you take it away. Let us know a little bit about the senior.
Yeah, so kind of like I said, through the study going on at the University of San Diego, they found that our dogs are in their senior years for 50% of their lives. So my dog is almost 15 years old. She'll be 15 October 1st. And so we say that she was a senior starting at age 7. She spent over half her life as a senior dog. So I also am super excited about this senior recipe. Here's a little picture of what it looks like. It's got this like dark blue logo and it says 7+. But it's awesome because it is focused on helping our dogs have increased health span, which is the amount of years that they're healthy without age-related illnesses. So as we get older, we lose muscle tone. You also can have issues with like brain fog and mental clarity issues. So with humans, we talk about Alzheimer's and dementia. I actually have a friend who has a dog that definitely is suffering from dementia. So we have particular ingredients that are there to help fend off some of these age-related illnesses. So the greenlet mussels for the hips and joints to help with arthritis. The turmeric is helping with the inflammation in their joints that can happen. We're adding a bunch of really great things like the omega-3s and omega-6s. We're also making sure we have adequate vitamins and minerals and the levels that they need in those stages. And another really interesting thing about the senior formula is as our pets get older, their digestive tracts don't work as well. So the absorption that they are able to do is greatly decreased from when they were adult dogs. So you actually have to feed them a higher calorie load versus an adult dog because they're not able to absorb nutrients the same way. So we want to pack a higher punch in our senior recipe because we know the absorption rate is lower in a senior dog. And for example, our adult dog, we're guaranteeing 12 nutrients in that food. The senior, we're guaranteeing 22. So we really want to make sure that we are packing the nutrients in for our adult dogs. And we're putting stuff in there to help with everything that they need. You know, that muscle retention, like that slide shows. We have the taurine that helps with heart health. And then we have the ground campus grass for gut health. And then increasing those calories in their senior years to make sure that they're absorbing enough nutrients, as opposed to starting to get like a little bit skinny. I've seen a bunch of these senior dogs that just have had a lot of like muscle atrophy. So you just don't see a lot of muscle tone and they're not very strong anymore. They have a hard time getting up. And so the recipe is really designed to help fend that off with the protein levels and the anti-inflammatory properties, all the nutrients we're adding. We want to make sure they go into those senior years with the best possible nutrition.
Yeah, so Donna just brought up a point, 22 nutrients. That's quite a punch, like you said. You know, that's so awesome. Go ahead.
So I was going to say, if you compare it to our other raw line that's out there, we're only guaranteeing 5 nutrients in our other raw line. This recipe, longevity, it's super impactful. We crafted it with a purpose, and we want to make sure that we're doing the best we can for our dogs. It's taking raw nutrition to the next level and making sure that we are really packing a punch.
Yeah, so like you said, Instinct is literally always taking it to the next level. So when you say backed by science, how much research into this? Oh, did I lose you?
Sorry, say that again? It froze.
Oh no, did I lose you? Oh boy.
Yeah.
I was just saying, you said it was backed by science. And Instinct is always, they're so innovative and they're always going to the next level. But what does backed by science actually mean? Like, how much research went into this?
Yeah, so the study that's going on at the University of Helsinki, which was the beginning of longevity, that's a 10-year study. It's a life stage study on dogs. And so that's been going on for a very long time. The one out of the University of San Diego that our life stages is backed by has published last year in 2020 amidst the pandemic. And then also our team of researchers who crafted this recipe, this is really where we're getting backed by science. So we're the only raw company out there with a full-time board certified veterinary nutritionist on our staff. Dr. Susan Nguyen is one of less than 100 board certified veterinary nutritionists in the US. And she was integral in she was integral in crafting this recipe. And when you think of it, like less than 100 of them, there's very few that have that training and education. And we have her full time. Our company is passionate about it, and they brought her on full time as opposed to just doing consulting. And she really took longevity and ran with it. It's been her baby. And Susie as well is a PhD that works for us. She is a PhD in animal nutrition. She has so many years behind her. And then we have Jason as well, who helped formulate these. But we have an incredible team of scientists that have brought this to life based off of research that's out there. And really finding out too, another thing is what we feed our dogs in those first years of life really impacts how they age. So that was another thing that came out of this study at the University of Helsinki is what we're feeding our dogs before 6 months of age actually has a great impact on how they age as seniors. And so we're looking at nutrition as preventative medicine. What we feed our animals has the ability to dictate how healthy of a life they live. And so the recipes really are backed by science. Hopefully that answers the question.
It does. No, it really does. And, we talk about it all the time, just how much research Instinct puts into their food. They don't just, without naming brands, they don't just make a food and then throw it out there and throw a bunch of marketing behind it. You guys really dedicate the time and effort into making your food and before it even hits the shelf. And,
yeah. And I
know us at Bay State, we love that,
Yeah. And that's why some people are like, why is your signature raw recipe going away? And it's because we're constantly looking at research and what research is telling us. And science is constantly evolving and teaching us and telling us new things. And we want to make sure that we're listening to that and making sure that we're crafting the best recipes that we know how for our dogs and cats. And so sometimes that means we have to change things up.
Exactly. You guys aren't getting rid of it because it's a bad product. You're getting rid of it because it's outdated and you're moving on. The research has changed and this is it now. It's awesome that you guys are able to just say that and just keep trucking forward.
Yes.
Exactly. So what's next? What does the future look like?
I don't know. I think the future is exciting. I mean, we'll see how longevity does over the next year, but we're constantly innovating. We're constantly bringing out great things. So I hope folks, give our products a chance. One of the biggest things that came out of this research is just adding 20% raw is really going to make an impact in your pet's life. That's when scientifically we start to see a difference. And that's why one of our lines in longevity is a Kibble plus 20% raw. We're trying to make it easy for pet parents to get to that threshold of raw in their pet's food and make a difference in their pet's overall health span and I hate to say this, but longevity of their lives. So, stay tuned. We're going to have great stuff coming next year. And definitely, I hope folks give it a shot. Topless raw. See what a difference it makes for your pets.
Yeah, can we actually go over that just a little bit about the benefits of feeding the processed versus cooked versus raw? Because I don't think we've talked about it before about what the actual difference is. You already talked about like the benefits of feeding raw, but how is it compared to a processed food?
Yeah. So one of the biggest things when we're looking at kibble versus canned food versus dehydrated food versus raw is the amount of heat that's applied to the food and how much it's cooked. So the longer we cook something, the more we degrade those essential vitamins and minerals. And those are really, really essential in helping our pets thrive. And so kibble is cooked for a very long period of time at a high heat. And so that ends up degrading the vitamins and minerals. And so a lot of companies have to add those in after it's cooked. So they're sprayed in oils a lot of times, which is why a lot of your kibble can kind of be oily. And then canned food is actually cooked a lot as well. It's one of the foods out there for our pets that has the highest level of cooking toxins. So when you cook things a certain way, you get carcinogenic or cancer-causing properties, and those are cooking toxins. So when we looked at the amount of heat applied and cooking toxins, canned food actually has the highest. Which has like a little side note, raw food is actually cheaper to feed than canned food. So if there are any canned food feeders out there, I always recommend giving raw a shot and seeing how your pet feels about it. Not only are they getting the moisture just like canned food, but they're getting the benefits of raw food as well. And then dehydrated is like a slower cooking time and a lower heat. So it's a little bit less processed than, let's say, a kibble or a can. But then raw food has had no heat applied. So all those nutrients are intact, and we don't have to add them back in. And that allows for optimal absorption. And also we don't have any of those cooking toxins because a raw product has not been cooked. So lots of benefits to feeding raw food. And those are kind of some of the differences between the options we have for our pets.
Yeah, and keeping your pets hydrated is very important. I've went over that for the past at least 3 or 4 videos, and I don't know if you got to see the video when I made the dog blueberry pie. I actually used Instinct in that, and moisture is very important in a dog's diet, especially in this heat. They get dehydrated very easily, so they need all that extra moisture, and sometimes just drinking water isn't enough. That can get boring, just like anything else. So if you can feed raw and bring up their moisture, that's awesome.
Yep. Well, when you think of us, our meals are full of moisture. We're not going to sit there and eat dry cereal, generally speaking. We're adding milk to it, whether it's almond milk or regular milk. But our pets are eating dry kibble, and so we need to add moisture to their diet because that's what they would naturally be eating, is a moist diet.
So I just want to backtrack 1 second. There's one question I did forget to ask you. What are the variety of flavors, if you do have variety of flavors, in the longevity?
Yeah. So in our raw line, that's freeze-dried and frozen, puppy and senior are both going to be chicken-based. Hopefully stay tuned next year. We might have some other protein options in our puppy and senior. And then the adult dog is where we're going to have our protein variety. So adult dog is going to come in chicken, beef, a new beef cod, which we have not done before. And then we're going to have a rabbit pork blend. So lots of great options. Oh, and a lamb as well. I'm not going to forget the lamb. And then in the kibble, plus 20% freeze-dried. The puppy and the senior are going to be chicken-based as well. And then we're going to have a chicken, a beef, a rabbit, and a beef cod. So some good options there for folks to try out. I know I'm a huge proponent of rotational feeding, meaning rotating proteins that I'm feeding my dogs. And so even though I have a senior girl, she's definitely going to be getting some of the adult one thrown in there just for protein variety.
So let's just talk about real quick, because we've talked about it in past live streams before, about the pathogens. We've talked about being customers are concerned about feeding a raw diet because of salmonella and E. coli and stuff like that. So maybe we should just touch base just real quick for people who don't know raw and how you guys make sure that there's no pathogens in it.
Yeah, no, that's a huge concern, and it's a big thing that is a concern for veterinarians. So we do a process that's called high pressure processing. So it's highly pressurized cold water. It's actually at 87,000 pounds per square inch. So very high pressure, kind of like the bottom of the deep ocean floor. So that high pressure ends up killing all the bacteria. So when you're talking about Listeria, Salmonella, E. coli, they cannot survive that pressure, so it kills them. And we do testing a minimum of 4 times throughout our manufacturing process, and then the final time before it ships out of our manufacturing plant, just to make sure that we have a 0 pathogen load in our food. We do not want to be sending anything out of our facility with any potential pathogens. So everything before it leaves has to pass with 0 pathogens. We also want to step above and got SQF certified with an excellent rating. And that's a quality and food safety certification. we're the only North American-based raw pet food company that went ahead and did that. It's a pretty prestigious certification, and again, just showing that we're going above and beyond for the quality and safety of our food. So some really exciting things. We got SQF certified at the beginning of 2021, so pretty new, and we're very excited about that. So
A lot of things happening. A lot of things happening at the Instinct plant.
yes.
Now,
there is.
I think you guys had another food that came out recently too, like the raw meals. Is that what it was? Do you want to talk about the raw meals a little bit?
Yeah, are you talking about the kibble with the freeze dried?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
So here's an example of it. So you can kind of see we got a bunch of little freeze dried pieces in there. This is the kitten version. But that we brought out, it's under the longevity line. It is Kibble, our original Kibble line, plus 20% freeze dried added into that. So that is at 20% because out of the University of Helsinki, that's when we start to see the difference from feeding raw. So again, we wanted to make something that was shelf stable, easy for folks to have in their cabinet or put in their food bin for their dog or cat. And they know they're getting the amount of raw that they need to make a difference in their pets' lives. So it's a really innovative category. And the difference between this and some of the other kibble plus freeze dried out there, for example, our raw boosted kibble, that's at a 5% inclusion rate. So there's only 5% freeze dried in those bags versus the longevity ones are going to have 20%. So quite a bit more freeze dried in there, really packing a punch in the amount of raw that your pet is going to get. Wanting to make it simple and easy and shelf stable for folks to get that raw on their pets' diets. So great product, super convenient and easy.
And you said it was in both dog and cat, that's pretty cool too.
Yes.
So
we can't forget about our kitties. So
exactly. I know we didn't really talk about them tonight, but we'll have to do another episode of all the, all the kitten facts and cat facts. So, but you have it in kitten, adult, and senior as well for the cats.
Yep. So all our recipes come in kitten, adult cat, and senior cat. The kitten is chicken based. The adult products, the raw, freeze dried, and the kibble, come in a chicken, a beef cod, and a rabbit. And then the senior is going to be a beef for cats, just because cats are exposed to a lot of fish and a lot of chicken throughout their lives. And when we introduce our pets to one single protein throughout their whole lives, when they enter their senior years, it actually can cause a lot of inflammation in their gut. And so you want to introduce them to a new protein, and that can help reduce the inflammation in their gut. So really, again, we have science-based choices that we're making on our foods, and it's not about, oh, my cat likes chicken. It's about the beef is actually what they need at that point in their lives to help them live a longer, healthier life.
And to your point about feeding a single ingredient for the entire life of a pet's life, I actually did not know that until about, I don't know, maybe like 6 or 7 years ago when I actually did a training with Instinct. And you guys are the ones that told me, you should think about switching up the proteins every once in a while. I never even thought about that.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah,
I know my dogs and my cat, every single new bag of raw that I'm feeding is a different protein. So I'm constantly rotating. I throw them in my chest freezer randomly, and I just grab a bag off the top. And so they're getting different protein all the time and getting exposed to a lot of different things. So and keeps their gut healthy.
Lori Kuna posted a comment. I know exactly what food you're feeding, Lori, and I think that the Instinct Longevity might be a good choice for you, for sure.
Yep. I mean, it makes such a difference when you switch to raw. We just adopted, like I said, we have an 18-month-old lab, and he was a rescue and fed kibble. I won't go into what brand before I got him, and he had a really dry, flaky skin when we brought him home, and I immediately switched him on to raw, and now he's got this like beautiful, silky black coat, and he just looks awesome, and people are constantly commenting on how nice he looks. So it definitely makes a difference.
So besides getting all your information at Bay State, where else can customers get more information about feeding the longevity line? Do you guys have it on your website, or you have what's?
Yes. So if you want to find out more information, go to instinct.food.com. If you're interested in kind of the science behind raw, we have a Science of Raw page, and that has links to all the journal articles I talked about, talks about all the studies coming out of Helsinki and the University of San Diego, and we'll be publishing the newest studies that come out of there as well. So hopefully there'll be ones on cancer and dental disease in dogs. So stay tuned there. But all the information is on instinctpetfood.com. You can find all the recipes, and then the Science of Raw page has lots and lots of information on the benefits of feeding raw.
We had a question posted by Christine here. Now, let me just throw this out there real quick for everyone to know. We do not recommend to go against what your vets say. Obviously, your vet knows your dog more than we know your specific dog needs. But I think we could bring this up and just maybe go over about maybe gaining weight and how raw can help a dog with gaining weight.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, to reiterate what you said, Kevin, like definitely consult your vet, find a vet that you also feel really comfortable with. I know it took me some time to find a vet that I jived with and felt comfortable with. Just like your own personal doctor, you're not going to jive with every single one. But in that particular situation, I can only talk from personal experience with my own dogs. And I had a very highly active Dalmatian mix, who I said is 15 now. But when I was feeding Kibble, I had a very hard time keeping weight on her. She was constantly skinny, and the vet was always telling me she was a pound or two underweight, and I needed to put weight on her, and it was super frustrating. And then when I switched to raw, she immediately put on those couple of pounds and has looked beautiful since in the past 7 years. And some of the benefits with weight and raw is, again, more digestible. So they're going to be absorbing more of the nutrients. That includes the calories. And then also you have a lot of protein in there. So definitely really important for muscle building and for the body functions. When you think about dogs and the absorption of nutrients, when you look at a dog that's fed kibble versus a dog that's fed raw, kibble-fed dog has very large poop. A raw-fed dog has tiny poop because they're just absorbing more of those nutrients. So that's why it made a difference with my girl, being a super active, medium-sized dog. But definitely chat with your vet, do what feels comfortable for you. I always recommend do your own research and make the best choice that feels comfortable and right for you and your pet.
Yeah, exactly. Like you said, just bring it up to your vet. You're always welcome to come in and talk to one of us too. We'll always give you, the best information possible for it. Yeah, that might be a good idea.
I love it.
It's like you said, it's always good to look around for vets too. Just like for our own personal doctors, I actually went through a couple of doctors before I found one that I actually felt comfortable with. It's the same thing with our pets,
Yes. And they're all different. They all practice in a little bit of a different way. And so
Yep.
It just find one that jives and you feel comfortable with. So.
Perfect. So like I said in the beginning of the video, make sure you like this video, because if you like it either on Facebook or YouTube, wherever you're watching it from, you have a chance to win a free gift bag. And I think we should maybe talk about the gift bag now. So how many gift bags are we giving away?
So we're doing 3. So it's this nice freezer bag, really nice size, zips up at the top. It's got that nice insulation on the inside. It's going to come with a couple cool goodies in there. A little mask. I know some places are requiring them again, so throwing one in there.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about that. It's coming up again. I don't know if it's coming up where you are, but down here. Some schools have already started requiring it, so I think it's going to be coming around again.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of businesses, and my friend out in California has a mask mandate again, so we'll see what happens.
Yep.
But also another cool thing, a little pop socket, if that's something you're into. It's Instinct logoed. And then we have a cool little Instinct bandana that your dog can wear and kind of show off the brand. And then we're also going to offer a bag of longevity of your choice. So whether it's
one bag.
Yeah, the freeze dried, the Kibble plus 20% raw, for a puppy, an adult dog, a senior dog, or a cat. If that's what you have, we could do kitten, adult cat, and senior cat. So your pick, and that'll go right in your little bag. So fun little takeaway.
Yeah, so I think we'll have this video going until, you know what, we'll go through tax-free weekend. How about that? We'll have this video going right through tax-free weekend. So Sunday night at 11:59, I'll pick 3 random likes on between all the platforms, and I'll contact you. You guys can pick them up next week.
Love it.
Which is a big holiday for us. Do you live in Mass? I can't remember where you live.
Yeah, I live just north of Boston.
Tax-free weekend. It's huge.
It gets busy out there.
This is the weekend. This is the weekend you should come and buy your raw food, for sure. Save a little bit. Keep that little extra money in your pocket.
Yes.
We had one more question from Christine. When switching to raw, does it need to be done slowly or just straight cold turkey?
I mean, that's a really good question. A horrible example. I did my dog's cold turkey, but I know my dogs and how they handle things. Generally speaking, for an average dog, I recommend doing it over about a 7-day period. So you're gonna switch to the new food, do about 25% of the new food, 75% of the old food for a couple of days. Keep an eye on their stool. Make sure they don't have loose stool or a ton of gas. If they're good in that department, go to a 50-50. So 50% new food, 50% old food for a couple of days. Do the same thing. Keep an eye on their stool. And then if everything's good, a couple days later, switch over to 75% new food, 25% of the old food for a couple of days. And then you'll be right on to 100% of the new food within couple of days after that. So a total of about 7 days. And again, you don't have to do 100% raw. You can just add 20% if that's where you're at, if that's what you want to do. I feed 100% raw, but every pet and every person and what they want to do is unique. But 20% is that golden threshold.
Yep. And if you'd like, you could always get those little. You guys have those little tiny raw bags too. Yes. The raw freeze dried. So you can always try mixing in some of that too first, see how your pet likes it. And then you can start making the investment to switch over.
Yep. That's a great way. Just topping with the freeze dried and see how they feel. And then increasing it from there.
Yep. Lori, you got to stock up. I'll be seeing you. I'll be seeing you on Saturday. And tax-free weekend also goes with online purchases too. So it's supposed to rain tomorrow, but I'm gonna be working online all day. So all the items gonna be tax-free on there as well. So you can purchase it online, then pick it up anytime next week. You could email me if you have any questions, if you have any trouble. But I'm very excited for this weekend. I think it's gonna be a good way for people to be able to stock up and save a little bit of money on top of it. So
love that.
I don't think there's any other questions. Oh. Donna, you have a great question. I'm kind of disappointed in myself that I didn't bring this up.
I know.
So when you're feeding freeze dried, what do you do with it?
Yeah. So again, like we said, moisture is very important for our dogs and cats. So freeze dried raw is a very low moisture product. So if you're feeding that exclusively or even at about a 25-50% of their pet's diet, I would add water always. I think you want to
can't go wrong adding water. You can't go wrong adding water at all. So
I would add water. If you're just sprinkling it on top, you don't need to. But if it's significant amount of their meal, always add that water.
Lori, yeah, I know. I can't wait to see you. And we have Christine. Oh, they already do the toppers.
Cute.
You have a vintage gumball machine? No way. I got to see that picture. Christine, you got to send me that picture. Just send it to me on Facebook. I got to see it. That's pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Awesome. I think that's it. It doesn't look like this. If anyone has any last minute questions, feel free to post them before we sign off. Did I forget anything, Maddie? Is there anything that you'd like to add, or? I think
that's it. And we can always, if things get posted afterwards, people have questions. I'm sure you'll pass through the comments, and if there's anything I can help answer, I'm always here to do that. So, as well as our team of experts, if there's anything that's like more nutrition dense or questions along those lines, Dr. Wynn is great about helping support answering some of those questions.
Yeah, we got to get her on here. I got to reach out to her. We got to get her on.
I know.
That'll be a great episode. That'll be awesome. I would love to finally meet her.
Yes. We'll have to plan something.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Maddie, as always. We really appreciate it. Stay up. We got another one. Hold on. Do dogs have the same type of allergies to raw as kibble as far as the meat source goes?
That's a really interesting question. And there has been some data out there that dogs that are allergic to, for example, chicken in a kibble form, when you feed them chicken in a raw form, they actually don't have the same allergic reaction, whether that's itchy skin or whatever. So sometimes the allergies are more related to the processing of the meat as opposed to the meat itself. So that is always something to take note of. Obviously, if your dog has a serious allergy, that might be something I wouldn't be willing to try to test. But there has been some research out there that in a raw form, the allergies aren't quite the same.
So what I tell people all the time is, if you think, so chicken is a huge allergen in dogs. And a lot, like you said, a lot of times it's the way that it's processed. So I tell them, take a look in the ingredients of the treats you're feeding too, because sometimes you're feeding chicken in that already. So if they're already eating chicken, it's probably more likely the process of the chicken in the food rather than the actual chicken. But always consult with your vet about it first. And I think you could actually do like those allergy tests too. I don't know much about those, but that's always an option too, Cheryl.
Totally. Yep.
Perfect. I'll give it another second here. Oh, all right. Christine sent me the picture.
Love it.
You have 1 second. I'm going to see if I can pull it up here so that everyone can see it. Let's see. Doesn't look like it's loading right. Trying to work on multiple screens here. It doesn't look like it's loading right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to post it after the video is what I'm going to do. Thank you, Christine. I appreciate that. But I'm going to post it after the video so that everyone can see it. As long as it's okay with you, obviously, Christine. If you can just post, let me know that it's okay for me to post it. And yeah, so if that is, a chicken issue, which you helped me with, Kevin. Oh, perfect. I already helped you with it. That's great. If you need any other help, let me know. I'm always around. I've talked to you a couple of times on the phone, so you can always call. I'm always there. So, and like we said, Maddie has people that she could talk to as well. So if you have a question for me and I can't answer it, I can forward it to her and she can go right up the chain and we can get some experts to get you the real answer too. So, all right. I think that's going to do it for tonight. Thank you, Maddie. I really appreciate it, as always.
Of course. No problem.
And stay safe.
Yeah, you too. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. Thank you, everyone, as always, for tuning in and watching the video. So like I said, I'm going to have this video run up until 11:59 on Sunday at the end of tax-free weekend. So make sure you like this post on whatever platform you're watching it, whether it's on YouTube or Facebook. And if you could subscribe to the new YouTube channel, that'd be great as well. So we can start getting this information out there to more pet parents. I appreciate all the support, and I actually I made a new outro now, so I'm very excited to be posting this. So thank you, everyone. Have a great night, and I'll talk to you soon.